Hey everyone, it's Assad here. I want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who watched my video, who enjoyed it, who commented, all that good stuff. And a special thanks to Jay, also known as Miss Mac, for hosting this great contest. I'm totally pumped about winning. It's a great feeling. And I've decided to make a tutorial for the trick um, that I submitted. A lot of people have been requesting a tutorial, so I decided to upload one to this channel, Decks and Contest, instead of my usual username, because Assad Chaudhry 2006 is a channel that's meant for magicians and also lay people, and I don't really want, the muggles to be watching these tutorials. So that's the reason for this channel. This channel is going to be solely for magicians. So in the future I'm going to have more tutorials. I will have deck reviews. I'm also going to host contests, give out great prizes just the same way that Miss Mag does. So if you're into that kind of stuff, please subscribe. It's going to be a good channel, I promise you that. Now, before I start, I want to explain that I was kind of hesitant to make this tutorial for a few reasons. But in the end I realized if I didn't do it, somebody else would. And more likely than not, they wouldn't do the trick justice. And there's nothing more annoying than somebody trying to teach a card trick when they can barely do it themselves. It happens all the time on YouTube, and it's not a good situation. And the other reason is I knew whoever else didn't win it, or would likely not give the proper credits, which leads me to the main reason why I didn't want to upload this video, and that is because this is not my trick. I did come up with my own pattern. I substituted some of the moves that kind of made the trick my own, but the basic idea behind the trick is from a magician named Paul Cummins, and it's from his book titled FASDIU, which is short for From a Shuffled Deck in Use. And it's a great little book filled with impromptu card tricks. So you should definitely check out his book. There's a lot of great stuff in it, including this trick, the trick that never happened. This trick is great. There's a great idea behind it. There's a lot of room for great presentations. It has that shocker ending, but there's a certain place, a certain time to do this trick. It's not for everyone. From the video you notice that it's quite a lengthy piece. So in my opinion, the best people to show this to are fellow magicians, for one, and also spectators who have a long attention span. This is going to be quite a lengthy explanation, and that's for a few reasons. One is, I want to do the trick justice. It's a great trick, and I don't want to just, expose the secret and then be done with it. And the second reason is I kind of want to weed out the people who are here just for exposure. If you're not here to genuinely learn how to do the trick, this video will probably be kind of boring. But let's get started. Basically, you start off with a shuffle deck, and you're gonna go through and separate the colors out. And you can watch the performance video for tips on presentation and all that. But I'll just go over the basic moves here. You separate the colors out, and then you just place them on the face like that, and you spread out the deck. And everything is legit thus far. So what you're going to do is, this is the position you're in. The position that you need to get to is this. Okay, you need to have one color sandwiched by the other color on each end. And to do that, oh yeah, the other thing I should say before I really get into the explanation is that this trick is going to take some practice. It's not a beginner trick, that's for sure. I wouldn't say it's an advanced trick either. It's intermediate. It's going to take some practice with sleight of hand and also presentation, but it's manageable. If you practice it, you can definitely do it. But there are some sleights that you're going to be able to need to know. And I'll do my best to make some parts easier for those who are beginners, but in the end, you are going to have to practice. So this is the position that you're in. What you're going to do is you're going to kind of eyeball 13 cards from the top of the deck. And, that's just going to be half of the black cards that are on the table. So right now I'm thinking, oh, it's probably the 9 of spades, the 4 of spades, whatever. You can be off by a few cards. It's no big deal. So I'm just going to go through. I'm going to thumb off, or the 6 of clubs, let's say, is 13. I'm just guessing. I'm going to, as I close the spread, I'm using my thumb to kind of just push that card back. Okay, and I close up the spread, and now I have that 6 injogged. I'm just going to push down on it to get a break there. And now what I'm going to do is turnover pass. Okay, and for those of you who don't know what a turnover pass is, basically, I'm not going to go into too much detail here. If enough people ask, I can make another tutorial explaining the turnover pass in detail. But the basic movement is, this is an exposed view. What I'm doing is I'm letting these cards drop. I'm bringing them underneath the big packet, and then I'm turning the deck over. Basically, it's an invisible way to cut a deck of cards. Okay, so after I do that, this is the position that I'm in. Now, in the book, in Paul Cummins' book, he actually recommends doing a side steal with a packet of cards. Now, personally, I'm not much of a side steal guy. Gosh, I can barely even do that. I don't do the side steal. So I much prefer a pass. If you don't want to do a turnover pass, you could do a classic pass with 13 cards from the face of the deck. But then again, I'm sorry, you wouldn't do it like that. You would turn the deck over, and then you would do the pass, right? I prefer the turnover pass because it just goes with the flow of what you're doing. So this whole sequence of moves should be very smooth. Basically, you eyeball 13 cards, get the break, turn at this angle to cover the turnover pass, do the pass, square the deck, and then break off the deck into 2 piles. And when you break off the deck into 2 piles, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can just break off where you think is approximately half, and do it quickly. Don't spend too much time, trying to figure out where is half. Just break it wherever you think is half. So that whole sequence of moves should be smooth. There shouldn't be any hesitation. Otherwise, you're kind of giving away that something's happening. So now, this is the position that you're in. Okay, you have 2 piles. You're presenting this as a pile of red cards. You're presenting this as a pile of black cards. In reality, these are half red cards, half black cards, and this is half black cards, half red cards. And now you're going to shuffle the cards face up to face down. And to do this, you're going to need to know how to do a shuffle called the Zorro Shuffle. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it before. For those of you who don't, it's a false shuffle basically. It's a way you can false shuffle a deck of cards. It's going to take practice, but you don't need to do it perfectly. You just need to do it well enough. And again, I'm not going to go into too much detail on how to do it, but if enough people ask, I'll make a separate tutorial explaining in detail how exactly to do it. So let me move these aside real quick, and I'll give you a basic idea of what a Zorro Shuffle is. Basically what you're doing is, the full deck false shuffle uses a slip cut at the beginning. I'm not going to worry about that because we don't use that in the trick. Basically, what it is it's a tabled riffle shuffle, and after you weave the cards together, what you do is you push the top card of each half forward, just like that, and then you straighten out the cards like this. You make them parallel or in line to one another, and what that does is it unweaves the cards below the top 2 cards, right? And then under the cover of these top 2 cards, all you do is you lift up this pile, and then you push it in. That's kind of tough to explain in words. But basically, you start off shuffling at an angle. Okay, so it's like a V shape. this gap right here is a V shape. You push the cards together, you straighten them out, unlinking the cards, and then you pull up with your right hand cards, and then you just push the cards together. So it looks like you're pushing the two weave halves together, when in reality you're dislocating the weave and then placing the right hand cards on top of the left hand cards under the cover of the top card from the left. Okay, that was, I have a feeling that was kind of confusing, but you know, there's a lot of sources out there for the Zorro Shuffle. So you know, and like I said again, if I get enough people asking how to do it in detail, I'll do that for you. So going back to the trick, what you're going to do is you start off with the right hand pile, and you riffle down. Now this is an exposed view, of course. You're going to riffle down the back of it until you hit a red card, and then you're going to let two more red cards go by. Okay, and that's easier than it sounds probably. It just takes a second. And then you split those cards to the left at that point, and you turn those face down, and then you explain how you're going to shuffle the cards face up into face down, just like that. You square up the cards, and then you flip both piles over at the same time, and then you begin the shuffle. Now, make sure that this is kind of a tight shuffle, because you don't want to flash any black cards, right? Sometimes they'll flash in the front here, so make it kind of a tight shuffle. And you're going to shuffle under the top two cards of the left hand pile. Okay, so shuffle off all the cards, hold back two from the left hand, and then to do the Zorro, you push forward, you dislocate, and then you push the two piles together under the top two cards. And as you're pushing the two piles together, keep a break between the two halves. Okay, that's important. And then you're going to do a second shuffle. You're going to say, okay, I'll shuffle it one more time. And then you separate the cards at the break again. You turn the left hand cards over, and you shuffle one more time. So this is the situation right now. You're going to shuffle once more, holding back two cards from the right hand pile. So this is your situation. That Zorro shuffle makes it look like you're shuffling face up into face down, when in reality you're just shuffling two blocks together, and those blocks are easy to separate with a second shuffle. And you're going to do the exact same thing here with the black cards. So let the cards fall until you see a black card, then let two more fall. Separate there, flip these face down, spread, square, flip over again, Zorro under two cards from the left, keep a break between the halves, separate, flip over, shuffle again, holding back two cards from the right hand, square up. Okay. I hope that wasn't too confusing, but for those of you who are familiar with the Zorro Shuffle, I'm sure you followed it okay. So now there's one step left to go. You say that you're going to deal the top card of each of these piles to the bottom of their respective piles. And I'm sure you've picked this up by now, but it's going to be a double lift. Double lift, deal the top card to the bottom, and then double lift again. Now, these cards are face up, the top two cards are face up, the rest of the pile's face down. So instead of bothering with getting a break, an easy thing to do is just drop the cards and hold back the top two cards. It's easy to do because the face up cards will usually have a curvature to them that the face down cards do not have. So if you just drop, you can hold back those two face up cards without getting a break, and then just deal the top one to the bottom. And now all the work is done. The rest is just presentation. And, you know, there's just so many presentation ideas that you could follow. You know, you could do the clock idea, turning back the time. You could have a time machine. You could say, you know, you have superhuman speed and you're unshuffling the cards and doing all this crazy stuff faster than the human eye. You know, come up with whatever fits your personality, whatever fits your style. But in the end, you're going to say, boom, boom, magic. The two cards return to the top of their piles. Okay. Some more magic. All the black cards are now facing the same direction. They've been unshuffled. More magic. All the red cards are also facing the same direction. Some more magic, and then here's the kicker. All of the colors are randomly distributed throughout the pack. And that's the gist of it.